Hi everyone, welcome back to Business Studies class. Today we'll start with a new chapter as per your new syllabus, that is private, public and global enterprise. So in this year's syllabus you have this chapter. Okay, we have started with knowing initially about business. So when we have completed chapter 1, you have got information and knowledge regarding what is business, what is its nature by knowing its features, what are its objectives, what are the intentions, that is what's objectives of business, then what is risk and all we have learnt in the chapter 1. Apart from that, other economic activities like what is this profession, employment, and what is the difference between these three economic activities also you have learnt in chapter 1. And at last we have ended with what are the factors to be considered while starting a business. If you are willing to start a business, what factors you have to consider. There we have ended chapter 1. In second chapter we have seen, okay, you have considered different factors and now you have decided to form a particular type of business. Okay, whether it can be a manufacturing business, it can be a trading business, whatever it may be, you have decided. In first chapter you have seen the chart. So in chart you have different types of businesses what you can carry on. So you can select any one among them. It can be wholesale business, it can be retail business, it can be export business, it can be interport business, and like this everything we have learnt. Okay, if it is a manufacturing side, you can go with assembling industry, you can go with construction industry, you can go with genetic industry. Like this we have learned in first chapter what are the different option of doing business a particular person has in our country. Okay, in chapter 2 we have started, once you decide what type of business you want to do, the next decision is what is the form of business, what type of ownership I want to have on my business. So that's what we have learned in chapter 2. That is, we have learned like sole proprietary type of ownership, Hindu undivided family, cooperative societies, partnership, and lastly joint stock company. Okay, so all those falls under your private businesses, private enterprises. In this chapter, to be frank, you will be getting an actual picture what are the different forms of organization. What we have seen in chapter 2 is a part of chapter 3. Are you getting me? The chapter 2 what we have seen, the forms of business organization, what we have seen, it is a part of third chapter called private, public and global enterprise. How it is? Now I'll get you. See the chart here. The public enterprise, that is a type of ownership what you can have, is basically divided into 3. It can be a public sector ownership, it can be a private sector ownership, or it can be a joint sector, that is combination of both public and private. In chapter 2 what we have seen is private sector. In the middle you can see in a private sector. Okay, so in chapter 2 we have seen forms of business organization which falls under private sector. That is the reason I told you second chapter was the part of your third chapter. First we have learnt the part, and now in third chapter you are going to learn entire forms of business organization. Is that clear? So for example, for this particular chapter you can give some other name also, like the total forms of business organization you can say. For second chapter we can say it is the forms of organization only under private sector. If I remember, I have given you the chart also there. You please check the chart what we have seen in chapter 2. So chapter 2 was a part of chapter 3. Okay, so we have, apart from what we have seen in chapter 2, as it is a part of chapter 3, apart from those forms of organization we have some other forms also that falls under public sector and falls under joint sector enterprises. Okay, so first you try to understand the heading business enterprise is nothing but forms of business enterprise. So the forms of business enterprise can be of 3 types, that is public sector enterprises, private sector enterprises, joint sector enterprises. Okay, in this chapter, last chapter we have seen the private sector enterprises like sole proprietorship, cooperative society, joint venture, partnership firm, and Hindu undivided family all falls under your private sector enterprises, middle one. That is what you can see in just 2 words. The meaning is given. Private sector enterprises are those which are controlled by individuals or group of individuals. Okay, private sector enterprises are controlled, owned and managed by individuals or group of individuals. Government has least involvement in that. In sole proprietary, partnership, and Hindu undivided family we have studied, government has least interference because no need of getting registered. Only in case of joint sector and in case of your cooperative society, government will influence. Why? Because joint sector and cooperative societies has to be registered. That is what we have seen in chapter 2. In this chapter, we are going to learn the forms of public sector business enterprises and the forms of joint sector enterprises. Is it clear? I hope. If not, go back once again and try to understand. In chapter 2, we have seen the middle one, private sector control, private sector enterprises, where we have studied 5 forms. Now we are going to study public sector, where we have 3. Okay, and then we are going to study the joint sector enterprises. I hope somewhat you have idea. Now let us start with the public sector. As I said, in this chapter we are not going to study anything about private sector because that we have already studied in our chapter 2. In this chapter we are going to understand what is public sector enterprises and what are the different forms of public sector enterprises and what are joint sector enterprises and how it can be formed. Let us start with the meaning of understanding public sector undertakings. Okay, or public sector business enterprises. Public sector enterprises or public sector undertakings are called as PSU. This short form you have to understand. Public, S stands for sector, U stands for undertaking. Enterprises, nothing but. Okay. So, a public sector enterprise is a government-owned corporations, okay, in India. When I say public sector, sorry, it means they are owned and managed by whom? The government of India. Clear? In our India, if we say public sector undertaking, it means the businesses which are conducted, which are owned and managed by the government is called public sector undertaking. When I say government, it can be state government and or central government, or it can be combination of central and state government. I hope you know the division. Some enterprises, some businesses will be carried on only by the state enterprises and some other enterprises will be carried on only by the central government and some other business will be managed by both central and state governments. Is it clear? Anyhow, if any particular business is owned and controlled and managed by government, then we call such undertaking, such businesses falls under public sector undertaking. If you find any business which is owned and managed and controlled by the private people, like me, I have money, I want to start a business. I have money, I have interest, so I want to start a business. Okay, then I can start. Then I will fall under private sector undertaking. If the Karnataka government, I am not speaking about the political party here. The political party may change. See, as of now, the Karnataka government is ruled by which party? Generally BJP we say. In central it is BJP, in state also it's BJP. But last few years back it was Congress. So I don't mean Congress, BJP or anything else. I am not talking about political party. I am talking about the political party which is formed as a government. Clear? So formed as a government in the sense ruling party. Ruling. So that will be termed as a government. Is that clear? So any business in our India which is managed and controlled, completely controlled by the government, whether it can be a state government or central government, we call such industries as public sector industries, public sector enterprises. Okay, when I say undertakings or enterprises, it can be industry or commerce. Okay, Now you can see the just meaning, second paragraph. A public sector enterprise may be defined as any commercial or industrial undertaking, that is, it can be commerce, like commerce again divided into like trade and aids to trade, wholesaler, retail, internal, external, or entrepot, like that. It can be anything, or it can be industry. Industry in the sense it can be primary, secondary, tertiary. In primary it can be again extractive and genetic, manufacturing and construction, whatever it can be. Entire thing, it can be a industry or it can be a commerce. But if it is owned and managed by the government, owned, managed and functioned by the government, with a view, with what intention? With what intention government will start the business? With a view to maximize social welfare and uphold the public interest. So generally we know the basic objective of the business in first chapter is making profit, isn't it? Okay. So the same objective will be there for the business, but if the business is owned and managed by the government, then the objective will be maximum social welfare and upholding the public interest, that is doing something good to the public, because government is elected through whom? Elected by the people through their voting right. Hence it is a responsibility of the government to do welfare, that is to uphold the interest of the society. Hence government comes out with planting some business, doing some business. Such businesses are called public sector undertakings. It's clear. In simple language I would like to tell you, if any business is owned and controlled and functioned by the government, it is called public sector undertaking. If any business is owned, controlled and functioned by the private people, just like you and me, it is called private enterprises or private sector enterprises. And if any business is controlled partially by the government and partially by the private people, we call it as joint enterprises. Okay. Now let us see the forms of public enterprises. Okay, in chapter 2 we have seen the forms of private sector enterprises 5. In chapter 3 we are seeing forms of public sector enterprises. You have 3 forms. Okay, so public sector enterprises mean the sense the businesses which are owned and controlled by the government, irrespective. I am not mentioning whether it is a state or central government. It can be any of them, or it can be a combination of both. So it is of 3 forms. It can be a departmental undertaking, it can be a statutory corporation, it can be a government company. Is that clear? So as we have learned forms of business organization, chapter 2, that is forms of business organization falls under private sector enterprise. So these are the forms of organizations which fall under public sector enterprises. You have 3: departmental undertaking, statutory corporation and government company. So we'll be going with individually the different forms, all the 3 forms, meaning similarly, like meaning, features, merits, demerits. We'll be understanding in detail. First we'll go with the first form, that is departmental undertaking. Okay, meaning and features. Today we'll start with only meaning. Okay. So departmental undertaking is the oldest and most traditional form of public enterprise. Okay. So when government thought of doing entering into business field, okay, government what it actually does, it will be doing some social welfare activities. Okay, like laying of roads, doing something good to the public, like this. Generally the government will be involved. Okay, solving the social problems of the public. Coming out with new laws and all these things will be done by government. Okay, but government even decided to do a business. Just like an individual, I decide to do a business, the government also want to do a business. Okay, so when they have come with that particular thought, they have started the first form is your departmental undertaking. Hence we say it is the oldest form of public sector enterprise. Okay, initially when government decided to enter into the field of business apart from social field, okay, so they have started this departmental undertaking. Hence we say it is the old and most traditional form. The next point what you have remember to understand what is this departmental undertaking is, These enterprises are established as departments of the ministry and are considered part or an extension of the ministry itself. Here you should be slow to understand. You should have a bit idea about our government structure. We have seen business, still we didn't see the business structure. Let it be. We have government structure like president, then comes prime minister, isn't it? Then comes, according to the states, we'll have chief ministers. Like this, we'll be having the structure. Okay. So, each state will be having the ministry of a particular, scope, a particular thing. Like, if government want to do some health facility, first you will be having a health ministry. Okay, for that you will be having health minister. If government want to give some health facility to the public, to the general public, they will be doing that activity through a department called health. Okay, for that there will be a minister called health minister. Okay, so when a particular business is started under a particular department, under a particular ministry, we call it is a departmental undertaking. I'll get you an example. As you know, we have government hospitals, isn't it? We have government hospitals. This again, there will be some division. Like in some government hospitals, everything will be free. Everything will be free. Free facility, health facility government will be giving. There will be some other types of hospitals, like if you have heard ESI, we say, that is employee state insurance hospitals, ESI hospitals we say. Okay, so these are the hospitals which render health facility to the public, but not on completely free of cost. Monthly the employee has to pay something to the government, and government will get you the health facility. One more example I'll get you. Railway ministries we have. Okay, that is a transportation business the government has started. Railways, like KSRTC, it is a transportation, road transport. Okay, so that was started by government under a ministry called transportation. Okay, so did you ever heard government will give free transportation through trains, through the government buses? No, you have to pay something to the railway department. You have to pay something to the transportation of that particular ministry. So through that, but what the charge will be very minimum. When you compare the bus charges of government KSRTC and the bus charges of some private buses, there will be huge difference. Why government has established that business is in order to give facility to the public, that is society, but it is not completely free of cost. You have to pay something. So we say that is one of the government business. Government earns something to that particular business. Here I want to remind you one thing. Government treasury will be there. Okay, treasury, where the funds of government will be there. So what do you think? How the government will get money? One of the way is through collection of taxes. As we earn something, we have to pay tax to the government. That is the one way of filling the treasury of government. Apart from that, government itself enters into the business. If I want to fill my own treasury, I will get into the business and I will earn money. Similarly, government want to fill its treasury. Why? Because they need money for the social welfare. In order to do something to the society, money is needed. Hence, government needs money. So, how the government collects money? One way is through the taxation, and one more way is by doing the business. Is it clear? So, for that purpose, in order to earn money for the government, they establish some of the business, transportation business, like your railways and your KSRTC, and even ESI hospitals I said. Okay, they give a health facility, they give transportation facility, they give risk coverage facility. Your LIC is a life insurance corporation, is one of the risk covering business, okay, by the government of India. Is that clear? So in that way, when a particular business is established by the government which is connected with the ministry, railway ministry is connected with railway department of the government, health ministry is connected with health department of the government. For that, who is the ultimate authority? That department head, that is railway department head. Railway minister will be responsible for all the railway activities of that state. Is it clear? I hope you are getting. Okay. So if any business is undertaken by the government under its ministry, it has a ministry, and according to that ministry they have started a business, we call such businesses as departmental undertakings. Examples you can see here. Departmental undertakings are railways, post and telegraph, all India radio, Doordarshan, TV, okay, etc. So for today, you try to understand what is this public sector. Just try to remember the names of public sector and go with the meaning of this departmental undertaking. If you are getting this, it becomes easy for us to move with all other things. So here I want to give you one thing. You can collect information. How many departments are there in our ministry? Like that you can go with the collection of data, so that you will be having a particular idea who is the minister of that particular department. If you collect that data, you will exactly understand what I am saying. Okay. So even I will be sending you notes through the WhatsApp. So go with that also. Try to complete the things day by day. See the videos whenever they are uploaded. Don't neglect. If you do so, what happens? Many things at a time, if you are going to do, you will get confused. So please don't do that mistakes. Whenever videos are uploaded, please watch immediately. Okay. Hope you do so. Till we meet in our next class. Take care. Bye bye.